But I want to turn to the other sort of like major story of the week. Obviously, it is ICE, but there's sort of like a projecting out ICE as a vehicle in which to inhibit the election of 2026 and then ultimately 2028. The funding fight is happening right now. It appears that the Democrats made a sufficient, it was a rather weak ask in many respects, and certainly horrible from a messaging standpoint, but it was enough for the Republicans to sort of like say, no, we're not going to do this. But the Democrats don't get any of the messaging credit for it because they bungled this so badly in my estimation. But you wrote that Gabbard's Georgia raid is a pretext for future election intimidation. How does that play out? I mean, there's reports now of like a big FBI meeting that's going to happen with election officials. Like, we don't know exactly, but it's things are starting to come into focus.
Yeah, no. I mean, this is like, Trump has longstanding conspiratorial views of the 2020 election, which are not just about the past, but really are crucially about the future. That he wants to make sure that he and the Republicans don't lose again. So Tulsi Gabbard, who's like director of national intelligence, was supposedly brought in as an anti-war voice, but has been totally shut out of all decisions about Iran and Venezuela. But and is like goes to Georgia, which is not her remit. She's supposed to deal with international policies, and is part of this effort of seizing voting records. And I'll actually introduce. There's one foreign policy element which I actually think that they're going to try to make a deal with Maduro, because Trump has said that he thinks that Maduro was involved with like the voting machines. So I can see where they say Maduro you just confess that you helped Joe Biden steal the 2020 election, and we'll let you off. And you can even
Sidney
go back.
Powell was like floating this Venezuela connection for 6 years ago now in 2020, and
Trump cited it like for the invasion of Venezuela. Like this is like one of the rationales for kidnapping a foreign head of state.
And how do we know how Maduro was able to sway the 2020 election? Like,
I thought it was the ghost of Hugo Chavez that they kept saying. They kept saying it was Chavez who was
maybe
dead
Chavez was not really dead, and he was like going around the country in like an RV. Messing with voting machines.
I'll confess, I don't know the exact details of this insane theory, although I think it does involve voting machines. I think that's exactly right, that there's some sort of speculation that the voting machines were made in Venezuela. But certainly the fact that you have Maduro in custody and you have Donald Trump, who's been known to give pardons and amnesties to people who say the right thing, that creates an interesting opportunity. And you have Bannon out there saying, we can send in ICE agents at voting stations. So I do actually think that there's at least a faction within the Republican Party that really wants to do this, and they have Trump's ear. And I have to say, from the point of view of the Democrats, in terms of all the weak messaging, ICE is already unpopular, and if you say that this is going to be used as a tool for electoral repression, and we have Trump's former White House advisor saying this, that gives you a political vantage point for opposing ICE in a way that I don't think Chuck Schumer is willing to do. But
I know you guys talked about it yesterday, but it is absolutely just mind blowing how just bad they are at this in terms of messaging. I mean, they're clearly, Chuck Schumer and Jeffries are clearly afraid of the potential of some ICE agent not wearing their mask, their name being, thrown around online, and somebody coming and, shooting that ICE agent. And somehow Schumer and Jeffries are held responsible in some fashion for that. As if, if that happened, ICE is seems to be very universally hated at this point by just about everybody who's ever going to hate ICE. B, the problem would be the shooting, not that Jeffries and Schumer were somehow like, they're not going to be like, they're not going to have immunity from the political accusation that they.
Trump
it's just so stupid.
We're afraid from like accusing the Democrats of this because they're like, oh yeah, no, the Schumer and Jeffries.
They did have special circumstances, and so therefore we can't. Donald Trump said, "I can't blame them. They did the right thing." It's just absurd.
I just think perhaps though it's more than just like the ideological piece. I just don't think that we can be gloss over, just because even the reforms that they're so inclined to propose, the body camera stuff we've talked about, that a lot of people in ICE and DHS actually really like body cameras because they can choose when they put out body camera footage and not. They can bury it. They have control over the footage more than if you have observers out there with 10 different angles on Preddy's killing. And that's the thing that Cory Booker came out immediately after Renee Good's killing and was like, more body cameras. They are not willing, this leadership cadre or whatever, this class of Democrat, to fundamentally reform, to cut into ICE's budget, it appears, at all. Even though I would say a majority, it seems like, of House Democrats are saying we should make that a part of the ask to claw that back. Yeah.
I mean, if one were to give them credit, maybe they think that they are these sort of swing districts where ICE is an issue and you have to support the Democrats that are there or the Democrats that could win. But I don't actually think that's even true.
It's not true.
ICE is overwhelmingly unpopular among independents, right? These. I think it's just it's a class of older elected officials that have, a mentality where it's always 1993 or it's always 2003. They are not aware of the present moment. They're not willing to have this sort of fight. I mean, I think that Chuck Schumer's whole political life has been an environment where it always made political sense to support the police funding. That's what the Baileys wanted. And I don't think he realizes, the Baileys are in a retirement home. They're not going to vote anymore.
And I wish I made this point yesterday, but when you have Schumer and Jeffries coming out there and saying no masks except for in very specific circumstances, because what Schumer said was, what if there's a terrorist that's trying to kill an ICE agent? Maybe that does make Sam's point stronger. That's, if only, I'm glad we're not in a situation where the administration is classifying anybody that disagrees with them as a terrorist.
Exactly.
I'm so glad we're not in that. Oh, wait, we are in that situation.
That's how they arrested Don Lemon. It was the NPSM 7. And according to that same document, anybody who is arguing against ICE is a terrorist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, there have been cases down in Texas of, protesters who might have actually, committed what are normally criminal acts where they'd be prosecuted, but it's up to the level of terrorism, which it clearly is not. It's a very disturbing thing. And Schumer and Jeffries are basically validating some of Trump's worst impulses. They're giving ideological cover for this. But I mean, this is something we've talked about before. I don't think any sort of political progress is going to come from that faction. They need to be deposed. I think, the positive thing is that they're good signs that the party's heading elsewhere, as we just saw with the with the primary in New Jersey last night. So, I mean, you're going to need a leadership change before things get better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the case. It's just impressive to watch this level of, it's just incompetence. I mean, it's just a political incompetence. Even if I at least in the context of DHS, I just think that if you're going to ask for masks not to be worn, which I think you should, because in my mind, you can cut funding. They're going to move funding around. They're never going to have a funding problem. I feel like they could lose 50% of their budget right now and they'd still be fine. All they're doing is just giving it out in contracts for detention centers. They have so much money, they don't even know what to do with it. They don't have the mechanism in which to deploy it properly. But on a very real basic level, if these ICE agents had to go around was showing their faces, I think they would feel extraordinarily naked and unprotected.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, ICE already has a sort of morale problem. There are people quitting left and right because it's not a good job if you're going out there and ordinary Americans are like yelling and swearing at you because they hate you. But I mean, like Schumer, I mean, it is political malpractice, but it's malpractice because on this issue, as others like Schumer and Jeffries fundamentally agree with Trump. Like their worldview is like, Trump's going too far. He's incompetent in how he's enacting these policies, but the policies themselves are right. And I think that the line we have to take is like, no, you should not have the federal government have like its own Gestapo force, which is used for political purposes against Americans, whether they're documented or not. Like it's unacceptable.
Yeah. Do you have any sense of I don't know if you paid any attention to this Ron Wyden thing. Lastly, Ron Wyden issued a letter to
I've seen that. Yeah.
To Ratcliffe saying, hey, just want to bump up the urgent letter about a horrible matter that I sent you the other day. Which was just
CIA activities, plural.
Yeah. Yes. And, I'm sure you remember from the NSA spying era, Wyden sort of issued similar sort of like second order smoke signals, like something's really up. I can't talk about it, but I want everybody to be paying attention here and digging around.
Okay. So I don't have any inside scoop. I mean, it seems to be Gabbard related. I think we can be pretty confident about that. Which leads me to think it's related maybe to the stuff about Georgia that we talked about. There has also been some speculation that it might also be related to Gabbard's the strange sort of religious organization that she's part of, and which seems to have
no way.
I've heard that. I don't know anything more than what you guys know.
And so this would be. So you think it is Gabbard related as opposed to say Venezuela, because CIA. What's the CIA doing?
Venezuela and Gabbard are not two different things, right? I do actually think that they want to make Maduro basically say, Donald Trump should have won that Nobel Prize. And, you have the full spectrum of Venezuelan society supporting Trump getting the Nobel Prize. And also, by the way, I and the ghost of Hugo Chavez conspired to elect Joe Biden.
That would be the connection, right? The CIA would be the ones making that deal with Maduro.
Yes. And that this would justify having the FBI and ICE take over the voting stations at Fulton County, Georgia, which is where the election is going to be settled in just a few months' time. So I do think that this is I don't want to put this as absolutely factual, but based on all the different stories that are happening and the parts that are in motion, that seems to be a likely guess.
Jeet here, national affairs correspondent for The Nation, host of Time of Monsters podcast. I suspect we'll be talking about this with you again soon. As always, thanks so much.
The fun never stops, Sam.
Oh, yes. I wouldn't mind it if it did for a little bit, to be honest with you. But Jeet here, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
It's always great to be on the program.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.